What's up, guys? My name is Eli. I'm one of the boxing coaches here at Box IQ. So we wanted to start a channel to help people build their boxing from the ground up, and just kind of go over a lot of basic technique stuff, a lot of the things that we teach here. And yeah, I hope you guys really enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in. Probably wondering why I have the camera angled down. Let me tie my shoelaces. I assure you it's not because I think I have amazing legs. It's because we're going to cover footwork, right? So footwork, um, major key to being a good boxer is having great footwork, solid footwork, right? It's a major building block in the sport of boxing. Now, having good, balanced feet means you're going to have solid, strong, effective punches, means you're going to move in and out of danger effectively, and it also means you're always going to be balanced, right? So in terms of understanding how to move, the concept itself is pretty simple. When it becomes tricky and it becomes difficult is when you're tired, you've been hit, you're thinking about a million different things, it's easier to make mistakes. That's why it's kind of important to really grasp these concepts early, have a firm understanding, and practice it over and over and over so it becomes second nature. It's instinctual. You're not really having to think about it as you're doing it. You're just moving and you have a good foundation, right? So that being said, if you're right-handed like myself, the left foot is always going to be the lead, right? So you always kind of set up more or less shoulder width apart. I have this black line here to help me. You can use anything. You can use anything straight, a jump rope, a belt, a rope, a marker on the floor to kind of draw a line. And you always want one foot on one side of the line, one foot on the other side of the line, right? And shoulder width apart. You never want this heel here to cross this line here, right? As if you're like on a surfboard or a skateboard, right? You always want to be nice and balanced. Upper body, you want it to be kind of bladed, right? So you're not exposing, you're not doing what's called a squared stance. You're not squared up. I don't know if you've ever heard anyone use that term, but that's what that means because you're standing like this, right? You want kind of what's called a bladed stance. Now, in terms of the direction of your feet, I like my feet kind of angled this way, right? And this one, something of a 45-degree angle. Some people are comfortable like this. This is called the heel-toe alignment, where it's almost a 90-degree angle. That comes down to comfortability. This feels a little awkward for me. I think it's fine. It's not necessarily wrong, as long as your back foot is not pointing that way, which some people do, and that's a little awkward. I've trained dancers before that have that kind of flexibility, and they naturally sometimes want to stand like this. But anyways, moving along. So 90-degree angle's okay. 45-degree angle's okay. Find where you're comfortable. What's really important is this line on the floor, 1 foot on each side, about shoulder width apart. Okay, upper body turned this way a little bit. So you're in your bladed stance. Now when you're moving, right, if I'm moving forward, I want this lead leg, hence the name, lead leg, to lead, right? So left foot, then right foot, okay? And I forgot to mention, this is a stance if you're right-handed. I think I did mention that, or orthodox fighter. If you're southpaw, it'd be everything I'm saying is the opposite, right? You'd be like this, right? Your dominant hand is in the back, right? But if you're orthodox, your dominant hand, for me, the right hand, is in the rear, okay? So 2 steps forward, lead leg first, then the back leg follows. Okay, 2 steps backwards, back leg first, then the lead follows. Okay, 2 steps forward. Okay, go ahead and follow along if you like. 2 steps back. Okay, a little faster. 2 steps, 2 steps back. 2 steps, back. Forward, back. Okay, so now similarly, if I'm moving laterally, right and left, the right leg's got to lead when I'm going right, left leg's got to lead when I'm going left, right? The idea is you don't want to ever have your feet together. Feet together, if you get pushed, you get bumped, you get hit, you're not balanced, right? It's easy to fall over, right? Um, Same thing laterally. If I move the wrong leg first, I want to go this way, but I move this leg first, my feet are crossed. If I get bumped, if I get hit, I'll fall, right? Same thing here, okay? So 2 steps to the right, right leg first, right? 2 steps to the left, left leg first. 2 steps to the right, 2 steps to the left, okay? And you always want to try to keep that same spacing, right? That's another area where people get a little messed up, right? Try to keep that same initial home base uh, spacing, right? Same spacing. I don't want to do this, right? I don't want to overstep on that second step, right? Because then your feet are together. So in terms of the balance, the best way to keep that is never having your feet together. Never having your feet together, okay? Right? I don't want to do this, right? So I'm keeping the same spacing, right? Same spacing, right? I'm kind of ignoring the black line at this point, but it's a good way to get started. And then you can, if you have something long, right, that you can put on the floor, you can kind of move along it, right? And it'll help you not have this heel too close to the line, right? Okay, so I think the last thing I'd like to cover with regards to footwork is what part of the foot's touching the floor, right? So we typically want to try to stay off our heels as much as possible. If I'm not engaged with another fighter and they're over there and I'm over here, it's cool, right? But as soon as I start walking, it's better to try to step on the forefoot, right? You want to step kind of on the tippy toes, the front part of the foot. And the reason for that, there's a couple reasons, but the main reason is so that if you've got to change directions, right, you're a lot more nimble, right? You have a lot more availability for speed and quick change of directions on the forefoot. If I'm stepping on the heel, right, and I've got to move back, I'm not as fast, I'm not as balanced, right? So that's pretty important to just kind of remember when you're stepping, try to step on the forefoot, right? It's a bad habit that I actually have. Sometimes I do step like this, right? And I always catch myself doing it. So it's important to have that early good habit of just stepping on the forefoot when you're moving in all directions, right? In all directions. Tippy toes, tippy toes, tippy toes, etc. Let me give you a side view, right? 2 steps forward, 2 steps backwards, 2 steps to my left, 2 steps to my right, 2 steps forward, backwards, forward, left, right. All right, guys. That's it for footwork, okay? Let's move on to the next section. All right, guys, that's it for the basics of movement in boxing, okay? I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to move on to the next section of Lesson 1. All right, so this is the last section of Lesson 1, and it's the best section. It's the section everybody's excited about. We're going to actually get to punch stuff. Yay! So, that being said, I have kind of a methodology that I've followed since I was a kid in terms of a numbering system for the punches, right? It's how it was taught to me, 6 basic punches, and they're all assigned a different number, 1 through 6. Now, depending on where you are in the world, who the coach is, everyone has different methodologies. Some people have 1 through 12, right? But 1 through 6 covers kind of the basics, and you just got to understand that they're probably 2, 3, 4, 5 variations of each punch, right? Like number 1, the jab, there's literally probably 20 different types of jabs that you could throw, depending on the angle which you're throwing them, the purpose for which you're throwing it, etc., right? But keeping it basic, we'll go through 1 through 6, right? Number 1 is the jab, right? So now when you throw your jab, you want to make sure you're throwing it from your guard, right? You're not throwing it from down here, right? You're throwing it from your guard, and you're turning that hand as you throw it, right? You're turning the hand as you throw it. Now, an important thing is to understand what part of the hand is making contact with either the bag or the opponent's face. I'm just kidding. These two knuckles. I used to be an x-ray tech. I used to do x-rays, MRIs, and CTs. And I have a lot of ER experience. I'm not bragging or anything. Maybe a little bit. Not really. It wasn't a big deal. Anyways, one of the things that I learned in x-ray school is a boxer's fracture. So that's a really common hand injury. People get mad at their boss, at their wife, at their uncle, at their dog, whatever, and they punch a wall. If you land that punch on this side of the hand, it's this fifth, let's see what I remember, metacarpal. It's super fragile. It sucks. Let's be honest. It's easy to fracture. I'd see it all the time. People would do it by accident. You can even break it on the bag. You can break it on someone's head, right? So it's important that you're making contact with these two knuckles when you're punching. So turn your hand and keep it straight, right? You don't want to punch like this. You make contact here, no good, okay? So we'll throw a couple jabs, or number one, as I've numbered it, on the bag, okay? Remember, you want to just throw it from your guard, okay? Not here, okay? Not here, all right? Everything always comes right back to your guard. Right? And you don't want to push the bag with your punches. That's a common mistake, right? People push the bag. No, it's you want to strike the bag. Okay? Fully extend your arm. Right? So kind of measure your distance, understand where you are with relation to the bag so that you're not throwing it like this, right? And fully extend. You can double it up. Okay? Another common mistake is loading up, right, on the jab. People tend to do this and throw it. You don't want to load up, right? You don't want to do this. Right? You want to shoot it straight from the guard. Right? Okay? That's the jab. So I've changed the camera angle because I need you to see what's happening with my feet here on the rest of these punches, right? So 2 is the cross. Again, if you're an orthodox fighter, it's your right hand. It's a power punch, okay? So what's happening with the hand is pretty similar to what was happening with 1, the jab, right? Now on 2, you're still turning that hand, making contact with those first 2 knuckles, right? And not the pinky side of the hand. And you're still trying to fully extend the arm, right? Now the more important part of this punch is what's happening down here. I'm turning my foot outwards, right? And pivoting that heel like this, right? I don't know if you can see. Boom, pivot, right? And I'm pushing this hip forward, right? So that's important for several reasons. And it can't be superficial. It's not just for looks or whatever. It has to have purpose. So you've got to have good ground contact, and you're kind of pushing off the ground. A lot of the power on all these punches comes from the lower body, the posterior chain, the obliques. So this rotational force here is what's going to give that punch a lot of pop, a lot of power. Very important, okay? Another important reason really is to allow you to reach without exposing yourself, right? So if I'm throwing a punch here, my 2, I'm just a little bit out of reach here. If for me to reach, I've got to lean forward, depending how far I am, right? That lean throws me off balance. It exposes me here. It brings my face closer to the opponent. However, if I just pivot, right? If I just pivot, I can make contact with the bag or the opponent while still keeping my body nice and upright, okay? I've got my hand down just so you can kind of see what's going on, but it's also really important that the non-active hand, meaning the hand you're not throwing, always stays here in a protective stance, right? Always, okay? So 2, same thing as 1. You turn it, and it comes right back to protect, right? Right, again, you don't want to push the bag, or you don't want to leave your hand out there, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, okay? Now, 3 is your lead hook. It's also got a pivot, right? When you're throwing your lead hook, you want to make contact with the knuckles again. Now, there's a whole debate that's been going on since I was a kid on what the position of the hand should be. I tell a lot of my students that I don't care too much about that. What's important is where the hand's coming from. I just want people to throw it from their guard. So whether you throw it like this or like this, it doesn't matter. For me, it tends to bother my wrist a little bit when I throw my lead hooks to the head like this, right? It's called palm down. I'm more comfortable like this. But I generally don't care. There are more important things within that punch that I think are important for people to understand. You could do it either way, right? That being said, you want to also make sure you're not doing what's called arm punching, right? I'm just using my arms. You want to rotate your entire body and pivot that front leg, and you're really shifting your weight from leg to leg depending on what punch you're throwing, right? So if I'm throwing my lead hook 3, the weight really is more towards the back leg here, right? And that facilitates this pivot, right? So it's important, again, just like on all your punches, not to load up, right? So I don't want to do this to throw 3, right? I want to throw it right from the guard here, okay? Bam. Ha. 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 Right? 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3. Right? 4 is your rear hook, right? Same exact thing, the other side. Okay, I should mention, a lot of the lead punches are a little awkward for people. When we get to 5, excuse me, which is the lead uppercut, people always feel weird throwing that. And 3, they always feel weird throwing that because they feel like you can't generate a lot of power since you're not loading up and you're just throwing it directly from here. So the power that you generate on that punch, it takes time to develop those muscles and develop and refine those techniques. And the punch gets a lot stronger. So if it feels a little awkward, that's normal. A lot of this does, but particularly the left side stuff. Okay? So 4 is an easier punch for people because it's coming from back here. So it's got a little bit more travel time. So it generates more force, right? But same thing, you're pivoting, turning that hip, using your whole body to throw the punch, right? Right? 4, it's a right hook, okay? 4. Okay? Pivot using your body, okay? We don't do arm punches, right? We don't do arm punches. We're using our whole body, okay? I think this one's the body snatcher bag to show you the last 2 punches, okay? So 5 is your lead uppercut. Now again, you want to add that pivot, You want to use your whole body to throw that punch. You don't want to use your arms, right? So you're not doing this, right? You're not doing this, going way down here, right? But you are pivoting, and you're coming right under the bag, right? Boom. 6, lead hand, 5, okay? I don't want to throw too hard because I hurt my wrist not too long ago and I'm not wearing wraps. So it's important to always wear wraps. Okay? All right, use your whole body. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, lead uppercut. 6, rear uppercut. 5, non-active hand up. 6, okay? 1, 2. Remember how to move your feet, right? Left foot first if I'm going to the left. Right foot first if I'm going to the right. 3, 4, right? You want to always add a little bit of head movement. That's a bit of an advanced skill, right? You want to get used to punching and then moving your head, okay? Because typically when you punch, there's a good chance something's coming back. So you already want that head movement to be initiated, right? In case you've got to defend against it, right? 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? Don't forget you're pivoting, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? All right, guys. Those are the 6 basic punches. Quick recap. 1, boom. Comes right back, non-active hand up. 2, boom. Pushing hip forward, pivoting, non-active hand up, making contact, the correct knuckles, comes right back. 3, boom, right? Boom, pivoting, right? 4, rotating the whole body on 3 and 4, not just doing an arm punch, right? 5, lead uppercut, feels a little awkward, we talked about that, right? You want to turn that hand, you're still making contact with the same 2 knuckles, right? So your hand's turning and facing you, okay? You also want to get used to throwing those punches a little bit away from your body. A lot of times when we use the mitts with students, sometimes as coaches, we have them too close to them, and it forces people to kind of get used to throwing their uppercuts and hooks too close to their body. Remember, the opponent's usually going to be a little bit of a distance away, so get used to throwing it like this, right? 5 and 6, okay? Use your whole body to kind of get under that punch, okay? Boom, non-active hand stays up, all right? All right, guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. No one's listening to this. I hope you're watching. If you're listening, you might be really confused, but really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the lessons, okay?